Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 75 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. So, what kind of person are you? Are you one of those people that lives in the past, only thinks about the past, pines away for the past, wishes you could change the past? Are you one of those people that lives only for the present moment, never looking back and reflecting on anything and not looking forward to the future? Or are you one of those people that only thinks about the future? If I just get this in the future, at this point in the future, I'll be happy or I'll feel satisfied. Maybe you're a combo of all three, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is taken from just a little part of what Sister Faustina writes about today, but I think it's an important thing to talk about, and it's something that I have to check myself on constantly. So we will be reading from Notebook 1, numbers 289 to 293. My happiest moments are when I am alone with my Lord. During these moments, I experience the greatness of God and my own misery. Once, Jesus said to me, "Do not be surprised that you are sometimes unjustly accused. I myself first drank this cup of undeserved suffering for love of you." Once, when I was deeply moved by the thought of eternity and its mysteries, my soul became fearful. And when I pondered about these a little longer, I started to be troubled by various doubts. Then Jesus said to me, "My child, do not be afraid of the house of your Father. Leave these vain inquiries to the wise of the world. I want to see you always as a little child. Ask your confessor about everything with simplicity, and I will answer you through his lips." On a certain occasion, I saw a person about to commit a mortal sin. I asked the Lord to send me the greatest torments so that that soul could be saved. Then I suddenly felt the terrible pain of a crown of thorns on my head. It lasted for quite a long time, but that person remained in the Lord's grace. Oh, my Jesus, how very easy it is to become holy. All that is needed is a bit of goodwill. If Jesus sees this little bit of goodwill in the soul, he hurries to give himself to the soul, and nothing can stop him, neither shortcomings nor falls. Absolutely nothing. Jesus is anxious to help that soul, and if it is faithful to this grace from God, it can very soon attain the highest holiness possible for a creature here on earth. God is very generous and does not deny his grace to anyone. Indeed, he gives more than what we ask of him. Faithfulness to the inspirations of the Holy Spirit, that is the shortest route. When a soul loves God sincerely, it ought not fear anything in the spiritual life. Let it subject itself to the action of grace, and let it not impose any restraints on itself in communing with the Lord. When Jesus ravished me by his beauty and drew me to himself, I then saw what in my soul was displeasing to him, and made up my mind to remove it, cost what it may. And aided by the grace of God, I did remove it at once. This magnanimity pleased the Lord, and from that moment God started granting me higher graces. In my interior life, I never reason. I do not analyze the ways in which God's Spirit leads me. It is enough for me to know that I am loved and that I love. Pure love enables me to know God and understand many mysteries. My confessor is an oracle for me. His word is sacred to me. I am speaking about the spiritual director, Father Sapotsko. So I asked you at the beginning, are you a person that primarily dwells in the past? Are you a person who only lives in the present moment? Or somebody who pines for the future and what it holds? So I am the type of person who tends to reminisce a lot. I look to the past. I've talked about this in one of the very early episodes. I'm always thinking about the past. I'm very much like my father in this way. He and I can reminisce and bring up memories and talk about the past for hours. And, a big pitfall for me is looking into the past and wishing I could go back and change it so that things could be different now. But I realize now that everything that's happened in the past has made me who I am today, and then I have to take the good and the bad and find some way to work with it. So the type of person I'm trying to be more is the type of person that lives in the present moment, to not look into the past or pine away for the future. Well, down the line, this will get better, or then I'll be able to do this once, X, Y, and Z happens. I'm really trying to live in the present moment. And like I've said before, this can be a huge trap for military spouses. We're always looking into the future for the next place we're going to go and the next adventure and the new people we're going to meet. And we tend to forget to live in the present moment, especially when we're getting to the end of living in one place and we're amping up for the next move. You can stop living in the present moment and only think about the future. But I'm not one that tends to constantly look into the future. And what I like about what Sister Faustina wrote today is she said, "Once when I was deeply moved by the thought of eternity and its mysteries, my soul became fearful." And I think the thought of eternity is something that maybe a lot of us don't think too much about. And I think a lot of us do get fearful about it because we're unsure of what heaven or hell is like. And so because we don't have a lot of reference to go off of, we don't know exactly what it's going to be like. We have really no, stories of people who come back from heaven or hell. We don't have very many of them, and then tell us all about it. And so we can work with that and let our imagination run wild. So it's our knowledge of heaven or hell is very limited, and eternity is very limited because we live in time and space. Trying to imagine something where there isn't time and space is nearly impossible, I think. I really struggle to stretch my brain with that one. Also that, until the second resurrection, the second coming, we won't have our human bodies. So what's that like? What is that like to just be pure spirit? I don't know. It's stuff that just kind of is hard to fathom, but I think it's stuff that's good to think on. And it does leave us fearful sometimes also because of what we're afraid of leaving behind. Maybe family and friends, uncertainty of maybe where we're going. So I think it's just one of those things that we don't ponder a ton because of fear. And, something that happens with a lot of people is either one, they tend to dwell on the past, and, the past cannot be changed. It's good to learn from the past, very good to learn from the past. And I think it's good to reminisce and bring up old memories. It's one of the things that makes us very human. I do know people who don't think about the past at all whatsoever. And they can't share their memories with you, and they can't share, what their childhood was like. And they don't have sentimental thoughts about the things that they did in the past at all. And I that's hard for me to understand because I am that way. I think it's good to look into the past every now and then to see maybe how you've grown, how you can change, what you've learned, how far you've come, those types of things. But then there's also, people who tend to only think of the present moment. And that's good. We should live in the present moment because it's really all that we're guaranteed. However, people tend to use that as I'll do whatever I want because only the present moment matters. And that can be a trap. And then there's people who, like I said at the beginning, constantly are looking to the future, and they can't even enjoy the present moment and find any contentment or peace within it because they just are looking to when I have more money, or when my kids are grown, or when I have this job, or blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. And, then those things happen, and then they're not content or satisfied, and they're looking for the next thing. I think it's a balance between all three. We have to enjoy the present moment, but live as if eternity exists. We don't want to use our present moment to totally sink ourselves in sin and just go overboard with pleasures and vice because, live it up. This present moment's all you got. We don't want to do that. But we also don't want to get caught in the past or caught in just pining away for the future. We have to be thankful for the gift of each day. And each day we should live our lives as if we know for a fact that heaven exists. and that we're going to go there someday. And I think something that's, helps me when I think of heaven, because when we think of heaven, we consequently kind of think of our death. And death makes us sad because, again, like what we're going to leave behind. It seems like people that are older, that they're, maybe in their 80s and 90s at the very end of their life, you kind of see maybe more of a resignation to death, almost as if it's just the next stage, the next part of life. And so they don't seem as scared as maybe as someone who's 20 or 30 or 40 who feels like they still have a lot of earthly life left to live. And I think that's how we kind of have to look at heaven. Death is final in a certain way, final for our earthly life, but it's like another chapter, another part of our soul's existence goes on into eternity. And it's good to think about that because we want to spend eternity with God in a wonderful, beautiful place where we can be, fully immersed in His glory, worshiping Him, totally enveloped in utter love, pure love, like she talks about. She even says we ought not fear anything in the spiritual life. So, if heaven is all goodness and all love and all glory and all worship and all praise, and it's going to be wonderful, and we can't even imagine what it's going to be like, we shouldn't fear it. God is not going to give us less than, right? And I think we forget that. We tend to worry that heaven might not fulfill our needs and our wants. And so we're a little scared to leave what we have here on earth, the lesser things, because we're not quite sure. She even says, I get troubled by various doubts. We're not quite sure if heaven is going to satisfy. So I think it's really good stuff to think about. Like I said, it really, those deep, deep questions challenge our brain, stretch it a little bit. And, it's okay to talk to God about those things. Tell Him your fears and your doubts. I don't know what it's going to be like, and that kind of scares me. He understands that. He's not going to, be upset with you for sharing your very human feelings. He understands that. So think about heaven, enjoy the present moment, reminisce about the past, learn from it, look forward to the future and what it has to hold, but be content in the present moment, and always live your life as though heaven exists, because it does. That's all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you back here for day 76. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.